looking back to last year, there were some things we had to clean up, we had to fix, we had to add some guys, some impact players, which we did. This year it was about trying to get our guys back, the UFAs on our roster, to try to get them back. And it's the hardest thing every year with free agency, because you're going to lose some guys. You're going to lose some great guys, which we have. But at the same time, we had enough guys still on our UFAs that we got back that still give us that depth we need, and still give us that the youth that we need and the competition that we need. And our philosophy with myself and Trent, you don't want to, if you don't have to spend a lot of resources in free agency, don't do it, right? You want to be able to build through the draft and keep your team coming from the draft up. So, that was kind of the difference, I think, this offseason than last.
Just talk about the re-signing, so bringing guys like Evan back, you brought back Jaguars how important was it to bring those guys in, specifically Evan?
Yeah, obviously Evan they're all priority. We know Evan and what he meant to the football team last year, and so to even though the franchise tag and all that, we placed on him, but just having him back for another year is critical to, the success of our offense, right? But all the other guys were all impact players last year, probably other than CJ Beathard, who, was the backup quarterback. I know that role well. You don't see the field much, right? But that's what you want to do. You want to be able to sign the guys that are the UFAs on your team. Those are the guys that were impact players for you. They're like the Andrew Wingars. They were the core special teams guys, and who could play safety, and go in and play and do well. Jermichael Hasty was another one who a good special teams player, came on as the season progressed as a running back for us. I mean, those are just a couple of examples of those guys that, again, give us the depth that we need, but they're veteran players who have played, and they can make an impact on your team.
People say, well, how do you improve if you have a free agency? But I assume you're saying second-year guys that jump, young players have to be the ones who improve, right?
They're going to have to be the ones. The draft picks, these last couple of seasons are going to be the guys now that have to really step up, and those are the ones you have to, I think of obviously Trayvon last year, but Devin Lloyd, and then even go the year before, go Andre Cisco, go Tyson Campbell, Travis Etienne. Those young players are still going to make a big impact, and that's why the draft is so important, and that's why you have to draft well, and because your picks have got to be, they've got to be impact players. They've got to have some kind of niche on your football team, and so you want to be right, because eventually we're going to have to try to re-sign these guys. We know they're going to be free agents as well, and we want to be able to re-sign these guys too, because, again, that to me is keeping your core together as much as you can and as best as you can. I think really helps the overall success of your team.
As you going back and forth at the offense from last season, I assume the last few weeks have been hard to build the offense where you can get better. What have you learned? What strides can you take going into that second year of that new revolution?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that we saw as a staff is just some of the little execution things, the detail things. Guys are going to be much more comfortable with the offense, more comfortable with the defense, their roles within both. I think for Trevor, it's just understanding now. He knows Christian and Zay and Evan, and he knows all those guys around him. It's just now we need to get better. We need to get better in the passing game. We need to take it up another notch. And Travis Etienne, Jermichael Hasty, Snoop Connor, guys in the running game. We've got to be better at angles. We got to be better at hitting holes. We got to see the hole better. There's just those little detail things that now in year two we'll be able. Well, year two for us, it's year three for them, but that they'll be able to see, and we can show them now on tape this spring those issues, and that's where we get better, and that's where we take another step. It's just the details of what we're doing in all three phases. And that's why this offseason will be exciting to get the guys back. And we're not necessarily installing the offense again or the defense again, right? It's just how we make it better and how we use our players better in certain situations.
You talked about that all season last year. How much for Trevor, that second year in their offense? Did you see, and going back and looking at things, did you see what that's going to do?
Yeah, I mean, the way he finished the season last year, the way our offense finished, and I mean, I just look at the way our team finished, and that's something that we can carry into the offseason. Something that I'm looking forward to as we get the guys back. But that jump for Trevor, is going to be. He's no longer starting at the ground. He's elevated himself, and so we just start there and we work up, and it's exciting to be able to do that. And have the energy that we felt at the end of the season. I think we'll still feel that energy as we head into the off-season program. Last year, the energy?
No, just now. You almost smiled and talked about it.
I truly believe that there's so much more for him, and he wants that, and he's willing to do what it takes to work, and that's what you want. As the leader of your football team, right? And that rubs off on the rest of your team.
Hey, Doug, Sean Payton is back in the league after a year's absence. You did that. Did you realize at the time how beneficial it was that it was coming to fruition during the season? You did that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand what Sean, why he probably wanted to take a year off and just kind of, obviously dabble in some other things with the media and stuff like that, but deep down you still want to coach. I still wanted to coach, and a guy like Coach Payton, is not going to stay away from the game too long. I think he's got a lot to offer again. Just wish he was in the NFC.
Did the world view of the league as you observed it that season, did that help you when you came back?
Say that one more time.
Being able to look at the whole league during your year off, did that help you when you jumped back in?
Yeah, I mean, you get a chance to look at the whole picture, right? The big picture, and it kind of formulates some opinions and some ideas as to how you would want to do things again the second time around. For me, that's I'm sure Sean was the same way, especially for him being on the media side of things, being able interacting with other teams and coaches and stuff. It probably gave him an insight to how he would want to approach his next opportunity.
Doug, Carolina and Frank are doing kind of the approach you guys did in 2016, where you traded up for either Carson or Jared and went on those pro days. What part of that collaboration process in evaluating the quarterback post film, combine, pro day stood out to you about that whole process?
Well, I mean, back in 16, we were looking for a quarterback. And I'm assuming, Frank and Carolina's doing the same thing, right? I mean, that's why they make those moves. But, again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I mean, the draft, you got to be right with every decision you make in the draft, and that collaboration, those pro days, private workouts, whatever. As an organization, whatever you decide to do, to be able to figure these guys out, right? Because they're going to be your franchise guy. They're going to be the face of your organization. So, again, you want to be right by that decision. And so I see, with Frank and ownership and the staff going through that same process that we did in 16.
They brought in Miles Sanders, who you obviously drafted. What makes him such a good fit for the way Frank is?
Well, Frank was with him. We were all together. No, when did we take? We took Miles after Frank was gone. Yeah, Frank was gone. Yeah, it was 19. But just I think having somebody that probably fits what Frank is trying to do offensively. And Miles is an excellent running back. I mean, he's still got a lot of tread on the tire, so to speak. And I thought it was a good decision, for Frank to get somebody like Miles in there, a veteran running back. Again, not knowing Carolina's roster, but probably an impact player day one.
Doug, on the quarterbacks, Frank, over the course of his career, has always had tall quarterbacks, guys 6'2", 6'3", or even taller. Do you think that's a product of scheme or just sort of the era of quarterbacks that he played?
It's probably a little of both, and probably the fact that a lot of your quarterbacks nowadays aren't as tall anymore, right? They're in the 6 foot to 6'2" range, really, or 5'10", 5'11" range, but they're more athletic. They can move, they come from, systems in college where they've been able to utilize those strengths, right? And, I look back even, because Frank and I were in the NFL about the same time, and quarterbacks were tall and they were bigger, and we didn't move as well, as these guys can move today, So I think it's a little bit of a product of all of that. Other than our guy who's, a giant back there, but he's athletic and he can run and he's tough. But I think the quarterback position's changed over the years. I mean, it just brought back memories of when I was there, in that Super Bowl game, and just kind of how the week kind of unfolded for coaches and players, thinking about all the events leading up to the game and what the team was going through, because it's still kind of fresh on your mind, and so for me that's what it was about. And the game was obviously a great game, and you got friends and relationships on both sides, so you kind of split right down the middle, with who wins, who loses. But for me, it was about those memories going back and obviously winning that game, I've also been as a player, I've been on the other side of it too, right, in Green Bay, where we didn't win the game, and what that feels like. So, your emotions kind of run a little bit either way.
Going back to
this past year, was that important to you? I mean, I know that obviously coaches get fired, that happens, but were you able to kind of put everything in the past and appreciate?
Yeah, I did. I mean, that's why the year off was great for me. And then be able to go back and take Jacksonville back up there, last year was exciting. I knew, listen, there's a lot of great people in that city. A lot of the fans, I think, have a genuine respect for the things we did. And obviously winning a championship there, and I was excited to go back, and the reception that I was given was pretty special. And things like that you'll always remember.
Doug, when you think back to after you won the Super Bowl, what are some of the challenges that next season, now that you've had a few years of hindsight, like off-season after you won that following season, what are some of the challenges?
I think the challenges are, one, you've played football into February, and now your off-season's a lot shorter. There's always those players that need those season end of the year type surgeries. Guys are going to push their timetables back. I think about that aspect of it, but I go back and think if I ever get an opportunity to, be in that game again the next year, you can't pull your foot off the gas. You got to keep your foot on the gas, regardless of where your team is mentally or physically. You got to continue to push, and it's about starting over. It's about hitting the reset button. And yeah, last year was great. And it's very similar to what we did last year in Jacksonville, right? You get to the divisional round, you lose a game like that, but we've got to put that behind us. We've got to push forward. We're going to put the pedal to the metal, as they say, and those are all things that I think about. Either post Super Bowl or, in our case, after the postseason run.
Going back to the Jags, sort of in the free agency, obviously you guys decided what when you get bring to the table, what's his specialty ability, something that highly valuable?
Yeah, when you're looking, especially at running backs, a couple of things. Yeah, free agent value, how they play on special teams. and then he's a bigger guy. He had some really good games in Cleveland, and he's a guy that's a veteran type player who just again gives us depth, gives us competition. Somebody I think that can come in and challenge, maybe Snoop, challenge. I say challenge. I mean good competition there, right, as we go and just see where things fall out. But the special teams for him obviously is something of importance as we look to these guys.
And then just the couple players you lost, Jawan, Martin, how big of a loss are you? So Jawan was your starter, and sort of what goes into replace them.
Yeah, I mean, both guys were very impactful for us. Jawan, obviously, as you mentioned, is a starter, and you hated to see him go, but I get it. That's part of our business, right? And that's what's going to happen. I wish him all the best and success in Kansas City, and but now it's for us. It's about moving forward. Walker Little's a great opportunity for him, to step up, and I do believe there's some good offensive linemen in this draft that, if the right guy's there, obviously, and we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out, but. And then in Arden's case, I mean, yeah, he was, a one-year guy that had an impact on defense. He was a leader, in the locker room, and he was a part of the team's success. And it's hard to replace. But, again, you look to the draft, right? You look to the draft, edge rushers, D tackles, whatever it might be that can come in and help replace. And that's what I'm talking about. You're going to lose some guys, but you have to be right on your draft picks, whether it's offensive line, whether it's the D line, whether it's running back, whether it's receiver, whoever it might be. Ultimately, we mentioned earlier about the quarterback position. You got to be right on those guys, and because that's the success of your team long term.
Brought in landscape for a visit. How'd that visit go? And sort of what's the thought process building that defensive line up, continuing on?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great visit with Calais. He's obviously spent 3 years in Jacksonville and helped him get to the AFC Championship game, I believe, in 2017, which was his first year. And, guys like that, you cannot, again, pass up on an opportunity. At least bring him in and talk to him, see where he's at too, right? And see if there's a fit. And so that's why we did that. And again, we still got some time, and I know he has some opportunities to go and visit some other teams, but we had a good day.
What do you need to see defensively to get to where you want to be on that side?
Defensively? I think we got to improve our pass rush. I think that's vital, particularly on third down. I thought we were good in the run. We just got to continue to get better in the run and shore up some things there. But I think too the passing game is the area that we have to look at and address this offseason and clean that part of it up. And it all starts up front, putting pressure on the quarterback, and whether we're doing that with 4 guys or 5 guys. You want to see Trayvon take that next step in year 2. You want to see Josh come along again as an edge rusher, and really in his 5th year, make an impact, with the team. And we're confident that both those guys can do that. We were excited to extend Roy, and get him back. And, I think the Fotokasi is a guy that can really make another step in the right direction within the scheme. And so the pieces are there, and now it's just a matter of continuing to coach and improve in all areas.
Doug, what is it about Frank Reich that makes him well suited to coach a young quarterback?
His demeanor. He's played the position. He knows how it operates. He's a quarterback mind. He's he's wired the right way. Having played quarterback, in this league for a long time as he has, all of those things. And I saw that with Carson Wentz when we drafted Carson. And Frank was with him for 2 years, and I saw what he did with Carson, and he's the right guy. He's the right guy for any young quarterback. If they elect to go quarterback, obviously, he'll pour everything that he knows and into that person, and they'll have success.
You didn't get a chance. You weren't there when they drafted Trevor. What's the most important thing you can do to make that guy feel comfortable when you've got a number 1 pick level quarterback?
Well, number 1, if he's your guy and he's going to be your starter, the face of your franchise, you got to show him confidence, right? You got to show him that, hey, we're behind you. We're not here to get the next guy looking over your shoulder, right? And it's gonna, but have the confidence from the organization, from the coaching staff that hey, thick or thin, you're going to be our guy, and we're going to work through some tough times, and we're going to have success. And that's the biggest thing, I think, is just having that confidence from the coaching staff with the young player, especially a quarterback, just to know that, hey, we've got your back no matter what happens.
I can take it back to when we drafted Jalen. That draft was so different, obviously, all virtual. What do you remember about like the specific process of making that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I was at home obviously during that time, and as far as drafting Jalen, we just felt like, again, here's a kid that we needed a backup quarterback back then too. We needed a guy that could come in and back up Carson, and as we all know, we had Nick Foles in 17, and the importance of the backup quarterback. So great young talent, obviously. Loved everything about Jalen, the way he was wired and the way he works, and made that decision to bring him in, I've followed his career obviously from afar, and nothing surprises me with him. I mean, the way he played in 21. The improvement he made in 22, and obviously leading the Eagles to the championship game. I mean, that's who he is. He's a winner, and he loves to work. He loves to practice. He loves his teammates, and it's no surprise for me to see him have the success he has.
Was it a different process because it was the COVID year in terms of like evaluating him, being able to evaluate him as a prospect?
A little different because you couldn't go on visits. You couldn't travel to see guys. It was all about conversations with coaches and what you saw on tape. And but what we saw and what I heard and listened to, talking to guys like Brian Dable, who coached him in Alabama, and Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma, and Coach Saban, and you listen to these guys, and everything they said is true, right? And you see it in Jalen.
Obviously, you've worked with a lot of young quarterbacks, but did you take any specific lessons away from working with them?
I mean, I just appreciated how his willingness to learn, his willingness to practice, every single day, regardless if he was started out as a third quarterback, the second string, or the starter. He took every day as a new day and a new opportunity, and you see it in his play, right? And he just continues to show steady growth and improvement. But as a coach, that's what you want, and that's what you appreciate.
Hey, Doug, with Calvin Ridley, how much have you thought about how you're going to integrate him into the offense? What do you want to see out of him now with those OTAs?
Yeah, obviously, we're excited to get Calvin. We're excited to have him cleared a few weeks ago, by the league and all of that, and that's behind him now. And gone back and watched a lot of his tape from Atlanta and the things that he does well. And, it's some of the same things that we do within our system and within our offense. I think he's going to be a great piece for Trevor, obviously. He's going to work great with Christian and Zay, even with Evan. And he's going to bring, I think another level to that receiving room that we need. And until we really get him in the building and get him working this spring, it's just kind of what we've seen on film so far, and really looking forward to maybe designing some things for him and just kind of integrating him in one day at a time.
What did you like out of Trayvon?
I love Trayvon's his compete. I loved his length, his athleticism, his strength. Love the way he practices, the preparation. I think one of the things that I appreciated with Trayvon is how he kind of improved, because some of these young guys don't know how to study the game as well, and being able to show him how to study, what to look for, who to study great edge rushers in our game, and try to take some takeaways from that. And again, there's so much room for improvement with him. Just like Trevor, we can only go up, right? And and he can be a really dominant impact player for us. And this will be a good. Plus, he'll have an off season to kind of rest too, right? Last year he was blowing and going with 30 visits, combine, all that stuff. And now he's had a chance to kind of recover, heal, get back in the weight room, and start working on his craft. It's high. It's high. A lot of confidence. I mean, he really improved throughout the course of the year for us. Took a step in the right direction. I think a couple games in there where we kind of kept him on the sideline a little bit, as the backup guy, really made an impact for him. And he's another one of those guys, just learning how to prepare, learning how to study, how to understand the game plan, his role within the game plan, are all things that he's going to benefit from, this offseason.
Hey, Doug, haven't lived it for... non-Jaguars question. You played with Eric Bieniemy. You've coached alongside him. Kind of what have you seen from him just from afar in terms of his growth as a coach that you think?
I mean, I tell you what, how he relates to his players really appreciate, who he is as a coach and how he prepares his players. When I was a coordinator, he was a running back coach, and then of course I didn't know him as a coordinator, but I can only assume that he did the same thing with the entire offense, and that's the, and then his knowledge of the game, and of course being around Andy and having success with that offense. And look, you can't duplicate that offense because you don't have the same pieces where you're at, but at the same time, there's some takeaways that I think he's going to pull from and use in Washington, with the guys that he has. But his relationship with his players are pretty high, pretty good.
Do you have any favorite memory just working with him or from your 99 season in Philly?
Eric, thing is, what I appreciate about Eric too, and the memory I have is just Eric's Eric. I mean, he's an emotional guy. He loves and passionate about football. When he played, he was the same way, and he's coaching the same way. So he'll do extremely well.
This is very general, but when you have characteristics in the draft that you're looking at, what do you as a coach need to hear to feel comfortable bringing that player into your program? And does it change when you're early in the building of a program versus years down?
Well, I think when you look at drafting players, number one, we've established a culture in Jacksonville. So are they culture fits, right? Are they, and not so much scheme fits, because that's why you draft them, right? You draft them because they're going to fit whatever you do. But good character fit guys, guys that are wired the right way. We got so much data and information now on guys on how they learn, how they're wired, how they process information, the whole thing, and just diving into all that and making sure that these guys have what we see, right? What it takes to be a Jaguar, and every team's different. But I think for me, the high character. And look, not everybody's perfect, but at the same time, you want guys that are going to fit the culture that you've already established.
What's the risk in taking the wrong player high? Like how much can I set a program down?
Well, the risk obviously is that obviously that player doesn't pan out, and you've kind of wasted a resource, right, on that player. And it's something that we try to pride ourselves in Jacksonville to be right. That's why we do everything we can to understand these players, the players that we're going to draft, and make sure we make the right decisions.
Hey Doug, having lived it for a year now, how were you different as a head coach the second time around? How was the job different in Jacksonville compared to Philly?
I don't have to listen to you guys every day.
It's probably better for you.
I got right here. I got a couple guys. It's much nicer. The year off for me was tremendous from the standpoint of just a little bit different perspective on how I wanted to approach this opportunity. You kind of take everything with a grain of salt. You try to have fun with it, have more fun with it. Try not to take yourself as serious, and look, it was my first opportunity as a head coach too, and you want to do everything right. I still want to do everything right, but at the same time, I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy this process because you don't know when your last day is going to be in this league, and you want to see the guys succeed on the field, and to me that's where the joy comes, right? Is when you put in that hard work during the week, and then you go out and you bust your tail and you win a game. I think about that Charger game at the end of the year and how our guys were just so relaxed even at halftime, like no panic. I mean, we're down 27-7, and they just slowly, methodically worked our way back and won that football game. But that to me is the joy of just being around the guys and pouring yourself into your team and watching them go out and do that. For me, that's the enjoyment of this business, right? And making sure that I, every single day I come to work that I do that, and I enjoy every moment.
Now, did you find yourself doubling down on what worked for Philly, or did you change? Were you a different coach in Jacksonville?
I think I was a different coach. I think, obviously different team, different circumstances, all that, but a different coach from the standpoint, I think, of, just relating to the players a little bit more. I had great relationships with the guys in Philly, but I think just understanding the roster, being more involved with the roster in Jacksonville, and just kind of understanding the different dynamics, for me. Football is football at the end of the day. X's and O's are going to be X's and O's, and the scheming part's going to be that, and, calling plays is going to be that. And but I think just understanding better the team, the roster, the makeup, the chemistry, and that I think is one of the differences that I saw, along with having fun with the guys, every day.
You have Trevor, you have a great talent on the contract. You take quarterbacks however you can get them, but is that something that was the idea to have a guy that things?
It helps. It helps to have a young, talented quarterback that is the franchise guy, still on a rookie deal, so you can, sign your own free agents, sign other free agents, and make decisions now on your roster that hopefully can set you up, because one day you're going to have to pay the quarterback, and you're going to have to use resources there to get him signed. But that's probably going to take away from something else to your team. But now's the time to, I think within the organization, now's the time to make those decisions, try to get those guys locked up long term, so you don't have to worry about it in a year.
Does it feel like there's a clock ticking almost, knowing because of the way quarterback salaries are that?
Well, quarterback salaries aren't getting lower. They're getting higher. And rightfully so, because if you play well, you're going to get paid, right? That's just the way our business is. And if Trevor continues on that path that he's on and has a good year this year, it's evident that's probably coming. But it also, you got to look at the whole team, and you got to make decisions based on all of that.
Hey Doug, well, how can you, when you're dealing with a young quarterback, how can you tell when they're ready? What do you see, like behind the scenes, what do you see to say that they're, obviously in Trevor's case it's a little bit different, but in the past, with other guys you've been with a young quarterback, how can you tell when they're ready based on that?
Well, obviously you've done your homework, right? You've done your due diligence to, if that's your guy, then you're going to do everything you can to make sure that he's successful. And it's either adding pieces around him or, just giving him the confidence that he can stand in that huddle, he can command that huddle, and he can go out and execute, the offense. And that's something with any young quarterback. I think about, having Carson in year one. He was a day one starter for us, and, still got to keep things simple. Let him go out there and play free, kind of freed up, and just understanding that is going to help, a young quarterback thrive.